As with everything else, when building an app for geofencing, you'll need a Google API client. You've seen these earlier in the course and you've seen how to set them up, so let's assume at this point that you've done that. In order for your app to monitor the geofences, you have to define them. And a geofence is defined using the geofence object, which you create using a geofence builder. It takes the following properties. Latitude and longitude define where the geofence is on the world. These are just the typical latitude and longitude that define any location anywhere. The radius defines a circular area around the latitude and longitude. This determines how close the user needs to be to that location from any direction before any alert gets triggered. The expiration time determines how long the fence should remain active. Once this time expires, the geofence is deleted. And you can of course set up permanent ones if you like. And the geofence ID is an identifier to use so that you can know which geofence has been triggered. This should be unique. If you consider the fact that geofences are based on latitude and longitude and a circle around them, you can actually have geofences that overlap each other. And when a user enters a particular space, they may trigger 2 or more geofences. As such, as a developer, you may want to know which ones, and you do that using the ID of the geofence. Now I'm going to define a geofence as looking something like this. You can then define a number of geofences as an array of geofence objects. So I'm going to wrap the list of geofences in an array list like this. Once you have your array list of geofences, you can then use a geofencing request class simply by calling its addGeofences method and passing the array list to it. Once this is working, you can then add the geofencing request to your client and specify a pending intent that is used to process the callbacks from the Location Services API. This pending intent uses an intent service in a similar way to the address example that we saw earlier. Now, whenever a geofencing action happens, the intent service will catch it and it will route it to your app.